process of evaluating the quality of website information is tricky, in that anyone is free to publish information on the internet. This published information can be both useful and effective, or it can be the reverse and be incorrect and misleading. Thus, it is the responsibility of the reader to critically examine website content to assess the information's accuracy and reliability in an effort to differentiate between fact and fiction. This process of evaluation is especially important for students who are engaging in inquiry-based instruction involving Internet research. Given that with a few simple clicks, students are offered a wealth of unfiltered information, having effective web-based literacy skills goes a long way towards increasing efficiency and effectiveness when wading through and selecting potential online resources. Education researchers Eagleton and Dobler note that Internet inquiry requires specific Internet reading strategies. These strategies allow students to determine the usefulness of information and also the usability of the website resource by getting them to carefully look at and understand what they see when reviewing resources. In working to evaluate the effectiveness of a web resource, a critical reader will engage in several steps and utilize various skills to ascertain the validity of information and the success of a resource in presenting information to readers. Our first step in analyzing a web resource is examining the search engine results. For this purpose, I'll be using Google to perform my inquiry search and will be targeting my inquiry towards a specific topic involving the use of aluminum to create headwear, specifically aluminum foil deflector beanies. In completing this web search, the key term gathered results page, as shown here, will feature short taglines and background information, as well as briefings on the features and tools contained within each site. In carefully reviewing these results, readers can begin the evaluation process and select sites which they believe will provide useful information on their intended topic. A beginning evaluation strategy, which I utilize, is to examine potential resources' URL addresses. Typically, those URLs ending with .gov and .edu are indicative of more reliable resources which could potentially feature information of higher quality, whereas URLs featuring .com or .net are more representative of commercial or private sites, which may contain information that is less accurate or not formally accredited. In reviewing the results, this one here is a resource which features many of my key search terms and whose tagline indicates that it may contain information useful to my research. You will also notice that it does contain this information here. This immediately becomes a red flag in terms of determining the validity of the information contained within the site. However, although the URL does not feature a .gov or a .edu, it does closely resemble my intended topic, so we'll click on it anyway. Upon arrival on the site, I'm immediately surrounded by a variety of navigation hyperlinks and content-specific information. It is thou that I must effectively employ a variety of evaluation skills to ascertain the validity of the information presented and determine its usefulness in relation to my intended inquiry product. As a first resource-specific evaluation step, I typically do a cursory scan of the entire site and examine the information posted on the home page. I check out the web page's design and then work to assess the various navigation and hyperlink features contained, specifically the readability and ease of navigation around the site. In doing this, I can get a quick assessment of the content levels and decide if the information contained is too basic or too complex for the needs of my inquiry or those of my students. In looking around the site, from a first impression, it appears to contain a sufficient amount of information and offers links to further sites that may elicit even more productive information. However, before considering anything contained as being factual, given that first impressions can be misleading, further critical evaluation of the web resource is needed to confirm its effectiveness. In deciding to explore the usefulness of this site in greater depth, I began closely examining the context and content of the information displayed. As web literacy authors Eagleton and Dobler note, when examining content, critical readers work to assess the truthfulness of the information contained. A good starting step in determining this, although not always time effective, is ascertaining the site author and examining their credentials in relation to educational background or level of expertise, as well as locating any publication dates which may indicate site development or updates of information. In this case, the author's name is clearly listed across the welcome banner at the top of the page. Upon review, there is nothing listed that clearly indicates educational background or identified level of expertise in relation to the topic. Consequently, questions in relation to accuracy or depth of information research may arise. In relation to dates, the site does feature both creation and update information dates. However, the latest update occurred in 2008, as noted here, which may again raise questions in relation to the relevance of the information contained. In continuing my cursory evaluation process, critical readers review content to ascertain if the site has a definite purpose. Upon review of the site, there is a clearly identified purpose listed, and the site's author even works to define what an aluminum foil beanie deflector is and how it operates. Given this site and the information presented, I then look deeper and begin looking at the associated hyperlinks to assess their usefulness in supporting this site's information. Upon review of the several listed hyperlinks on the side of the web page, one particular link immediately jumps out, the one entitled Special Information for Student Website Evaluators. In clicking on the link, a new page appears that contains a variety of educational links. However, a troubling trend soon appears in that the majority of the links featured are either broken or missing. As indicated here. For all intents and purposes, the listed information serves no informational purpose and works to merely sidetrack readers with unneeded navigation. In returning to the home page and clicking on another of the listed hyperlinks, this time labeled external links, it is here that the final and most important tool in the evaluation of a resource comes into play, that being the reader's common sense. In reviewing the list of external resources, I was immediately bombarded with what I can only assume are either parody or joke sites, or the paranoid beliefs of people with a lot of extra time on their hands. In reviewing one of my favorite links, the AFDB Disney Resistance Squad, I couldn't help but think to myself how much fun the authors of this fictitious page must have had in creating it with their friends. From reading the information and viewing the pictures, common sense screams that the whole concept of aluminum headwear, regardless of what you call it, is less based in fact and more representative of biased personal opinion based on deep paranoia. Thus, in reflecting upon my evaluation of this particular web resource, I cannot help but notice that all this happens in a matter of minutes. It can be repeated any number of times as information resources are collected for use in learning activity development. Obviously, having had the opportunity to refine and engage in online practice, the ability to deploy effective evaluation strategies has seemingly become second nature. Obviously, through careful reading and the rereading of resource information, such as was presented in this aluminum beanie site, misleading or hoax-type information can be weeded out and avoided. As web literacy author Alan November notes, knowing how to access and evaluate the good stuff comes with knowing how search engines work and recognizing how all the pieces fit together, that including evaluation. In recognizing how effective search skills tie in with critical reading and thinking skills, my information research has undoubtedly become more efficient in that I am able to employ a variety of noted strategies to streamline and focus my information inquiries, thus bypassing potential junk sites and saving both time and energy.